Good day. Thank you for tuning in to this 2017 General Election Candidate Forum for the Port of Olympia Commissioner District 3. The forum is presented by the League of Women Voters of Thurston County and TC Media. The League is a nonprofit organization that encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in their government. The League neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties. We are nonpartisan. The League registers new voters, studies issues, and advocates for positions with governing bodies. Despite its name, the League is open to both men and women of age 16 and up. I'm Sandra Herndon from the League, and I'll be moderating this forum. The candidates for the Olympia Port Commissioner District 3 are Gigi McClure and Elizabeth E.J. Zita. For this forum, each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. Then I'll ask them questions in alternating order. The person first asks the question will have 2 minutes for a response, followed by 1 minute from the other candidate. There will be 1 minute for closing statements at the end. We'll begin with closing statements from the candidates, beginning with Gigi McClure.
I'm Gigi McClure, and I'm running for District 3 Port Commissioner here in Thurston County. I decided to run here for Thurston County because I believe that the port is the economic driver here for Thurston County, and the marine terminal is the best way for us to get there. The marine terminal is also part of that economic drive forward for the county, and I believe that keeping the marine terminal active, along with bringing in more diversified cargo, will allow our longshoremen to continue to work at that port, as well as put food on their table, as well as all those other indirect organizations that support the port. The Port of Olympia, as an economic driver, also assists in creating new businesses here in Thurston County and allowing businesses to grow. As a retired lieutenant colonel in the military, I've worked with a diversified group of people to bring a lot of different projects and planning to fruition. And I believe I can do that along with, do that here in Thurston County. And I believe I can bring projects here at the port to fruition and be successful. With that said, I'm asking for your vote. And again, I'm Gigi McClure, and I'm running for Port Commissioner for Thurston County. Thank you.
All right.
I'm E.J. Zita, and I'm your Port Commissioner. I'm a scientist, a farmer, a neighbor, and a public servant. Thurston County needs good leadership, especially now. You elected me to improve the Port of Olympia, and we share values for good government. We need transparency, honesty, and open public processes. We need wise financial stewardship and care for our land, air, and water. The port runs 4 business lines, and they're all in the red. We can do better, and I have a plan. First, a financially responsible port should help everyone, not just special interests. That's why I directed the port to study better opportunities for economic development and good jobs. Second, good planning. I helped create a new strategic plan at the port, and our focus on resiliency can improve our economy, environment, and our communities. And third, cooperation with local government to restore our shorelines, for brewery redevelopment, affordable housing, and more. I've shown leadership serving Thurston County for over a decade. I've worked closely with Tumwater, where the mayor and city council members support my re-election. I've championed more efficient buildings with solar power and rain gardens and expanded our small cities program. As a small farmer, I've led Thurston County's Agriculture Committee to preserve farmland and food systems. As a physics PhD, I've researched renewable energy in national laboratories and industry. And to plan wisely for our future, we need a port that works for the people and with the people. Olympia is full of thoughtful people like you, and we can shape our future together. Please vote Zita for Port for financial responsibility, for our communities, and for our environment. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll begin with a question, and we'll have Gigi begin for 2 minutes, and then Zita will respond for 1, and then we'll alternate. The question: discuss your vision for the future economic health and vitality of the Port of Olympia.
My vision for economic vitality for Olympia as well as the port is to ensure that the port is self-sustaining, and to become self-sustaining, the port needs to generate additional revenue. And that revenue should come from diversified cargo as well as general businesses within the port in terms of leased properties, as well as, like I said, diversified cargo, and more interests in what is currently going on at the port and bringing in tourism. So my vision, again, is a self-sustaining port. Diversified cargo through the marine terminal can do that, as well as expanding the airfield in terms of not necessarily expanding the landing field, but expanding the utilization of the airfield. So more specifically, increase revenue.
My vision for the future economic health and vitality of the port also is to have a self-sustaining port. Well, we're challenged in some of our business areas by spending a lot more than we bring in. Our best line of business right now is real estate. We invested in a property in Lacey that serves the community, that's good for economic development because it's in a place with existing infrastructure, and it's our one area of the port that's in the black. In addition to real estate and economic development, I've been reached out to by the Department of Commerce to expand our opportunities at the airport. Emergency management services have reached out to me about the possibility of a passenger ferry at the port to provide a service for commuters, for recreation and tourism, and for emergency management. These are just a few examples.
All right, question number 2, we'll start with you, Zita. Other ports, such as Allen and Seattle, have diversified their economic development portfolios into non-traditional areas such as historic preservation and tourism. Do you see the Port of Olympia diversifying its portfolio into non-traditional areas, and if so, what?
Yes, I absolutely support the diversification of the Port of Olympia into new portfolios. I directed our Citizens Advisory Committee to study good ports that have made the transition away from struggling business lines to better economic development. I just got back yesterday from a Washington Public Ports Association meeting where we heard from the ports of Bellingham, Vancouver, and Kaminista-Washougal on the transitions they've made that are helping their communities and doing better economic development. Recreation and tourism is a great opportunity for our port in the future, especially since City of Olympia planners tell us that our marine terminal will have 150 flood events per year in my lifetime. We can do better by planning with our communities, with our local governments, and with the tribes. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. I do agree that there should be a more diversified economic development profile for the port, and I've also discussed this with many of the people that I've talked to along the campaign trail. And one of the areas that I see is getting more youth involved in what is going on in our community, as youth are more knowledgeable about new future innovations that are coming along, and so they can give you advice and give direction to where the port should be heading, or give us new ideas in which to pursue for a more diverse profile. And I must say that reaching out to into business interests and seeing where those businesses would like to grow would also assist the port in changing their direction or bringing in an additional direction also to increase their profile. Thank you.
All right, the next question will start with you, Gigi. When is it appropriate and legal to have closed sessions? How can the port be as transparent as possible?
I don't agree there should ever be a closed session unless I believe that RCW 53 directs that that you can stop a session if there is any kind of event happening where it's disruptive, but at the same time it would not be completely closed, that media would still be allowed to enter in order to continue business, or the dates would change, or you can change the date of the event until the disruption has stopped. But in terms of having any closed forum or closed event, according to, I don't believe there should ever be one. I believe that everything should be transparent in how everything is discussed at the simplest form possible, so that everyone understands what's going on. To include how we speak to individuals, how it's written, and keeping everything at the simplest form possible, so that even the person with the least of education can understand what's being said. And I don't believe everyone understands all of port operations, and I have to admit I was one of those people who did not understand everything in and around the port. And having done the research and having looked at all those policies and regulations that direct the actions of the port, I do believe you do have to have some form of education to understand it. And it should be, like I said, at the simplest level so that there's no misunderstanding. Thank you.
I've been a strong advocate for more openness and transparency at the Port of Olympia. I've directed our Citizens Advisory Committee to revisit the recommendations from our advisory committee from a few years ago about how we can improve our public outreach, our public communication, and our cooperation with the people of Thurston County. The Port of Olympia and all ports in Washington State are permitted to have executive sessions which are closed to the public for certain matters, including personnel matters and legal matters. The Washington State Supreme Court this June backed me up and other advocates of more open ports, saying that we cannot make real estate decisions behind closed doors any longer. This is a triumph for the people of Washington State. The Open Public Meetings Act protects the people's right to know what their public servants are doing and to participate in the process. It helps us all.
Thank you. The next question will begin with you, Zita. Given the port's financial situation, what are your funding priorities and how would you plan to balance the budget?
The Port of Olympia taxes everyone in Thurston County. If you own a home in Thurston County, you're paying taxes to the port, and we're losing $5 million a year. All of your tax money on our debt payments, on the interest on our debt. Our biggest responsibility is environmental cleanup. Our former environmental director estimated that the Port of Olympia will have to spend $100 million to clean up our shorelines and waterways. We're committed to take on this task. We're doing it bit by bit, and it's going to take a long time. Meanwhile, we should be managing your public resources, 1,000 acres of land, the airport, marina, marine terminal, and real estate for the best use and the best return on public investment. We should be driving jobs. We can do things like public-private partnerships for brewery redevelopment, for agriculture development, and we can get grants. Our priority should be to improve our finances, and our past finance director did a great job of laying out what our goals are. We do have financial goals. We're not meeting them yet, but we can with attention. For example, our return on revenue target is 5%, and we're at about negative 20%. We can do better with not deferring maintenance, with taking care of the public resources we manage, and with not making subsidies to big businesses that benefit instead of the public benefiting. We should be a port for the people.
Right.
Our funding priorities within the port should be focused, I agree, on cleanup. Cleanup so that we can renovate those properties in order to build upon those properties to once again earn revenue for those properties. And in terms of balancing the budget, in starting to balance the budget, we need to look at grants to actually assist us in things that need to be done at the port, not just rely on not just to rely on basic taxes. Grants can offer us an opportunity to even consider dredging when we need to dredge. So I would like to see a maintenance replacement plan that would actually outline what we can spend and when we should be spending, not just wait till the last minute when it's actually needed. So I think there should be some type of additional fiscal plan in place prior to the need. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll have one more question, and to level the field here, we'll take 1 minute each to answer this question. And you've alluded to some of these ideas before. Perhaps you can elaborate. What project ideas do you have to make the port property profitable without harming the environment? Zita, would you begin?
So real estate is our best opportunity right now for the port to do better financially without harming the environment, especially if we develop in areas where there are already streets, water, and sewer, instead of logging open lands. We're doing a good job in Lacey, with our property in Lacey, and we have great opportunities in Tumwater. As I said, for brewery redevelopment, we are renovating our Clearwater property. We invested money that we will get back from rents for the state patrol, for a daycare center. And in addition to real estate, we should be supporting our local agriculture communities. We should be preserving our open farmland and making it cost-effective for farmers to keep farming. I hope we will set up an industrial kitchen where farmers can bring their products, add value to them, and distribute them regionally.
Thank you. All right, Gigi?
Thank you. The project's ideas that I see in place that we can in place within the port without harming the environment is to actually renovate existing properties that would encourage businesses to come into Thurston County and thrive and come and actually stay here in Thurston County. There are several areas within this community that are actually in need of some type of renovation to actually improve upon those areas, and I believe that's part of the port's responsibility is area improvement. And to do that, there are already existing properties in which they can do that with, and that's part of their use of, or in terms of land use. So, thank you.
All right, it's time for our closing statements. Gigi, would you begin with your 1 minute closing statement?
My 1 minute closing statement, thank you. Again, I'm Gigi McClure, and again, I'd like to thank you for having me here today. The port can grow, and I believe that there are so many different diversified people here in Thurston County that have a true interest in terms of what's going on at the port. There are several people in this community who would like to see the port actually do what it's intended to do. And what it's intended to do is be the economic driver for this county. Again, I don't want to be port commissioner. I need to be your port commissioner. I have the experience, I have that drive, and I have everything that you need, or the port needs at this time to make the port successful. Thank you.
I'm E.J. Zita, and I'm your port commissioner. I've been serving Thurston County in many ways for over a decade. I have the support of many local elected officials because I'm making improvements at our Port of Olympia. We have challenges here in Thurston County. We know our population will double in the next generation and sea level is rising. Working together, we can meet these challenges. I helped get a new strategic plan at the port focused on resiliency to benefit our economy, our communities, and our environment. By working together with public-private processes, By listening to the people, by getting the best ideas on the table, we can preserve our open spaces and farmland. We can keep Thurston County producing food. We can clean up our water and shorelines. We can have expanded recreation and tourism opportunities. We can develop our real estate wisely, and we can serve the people of Olympia. Thank you.
Thank you both for participating in the League of Women Voters General Election Forum for Olympia Port Commissioner Position 3. We encourage viewers to vote in the general election on or before November 7th. The League particularly thanks TC Media for their ongoing support and assistance.